Hey guys, I want to welcome you and let you know how great it is to have you here for the Greater Purpose Podcast.
What's up?
That's good. Welcome to the Greater Purpose Podcast. That's where the cheer comes in, the peanut gallery, and all that wonderful stuff, right? And we have a great guest here today, as we always have great guests, Pastor Ray Hardee.
Great to see you. I'll give you a fist bump too. We'll do it all.
Yeah, great. Glad to have you here.
My pleasure.
Glad you could make it. So
Yes,
before
sir.
we jump into all the stuff, all the details and stuff, just gives us a few things to know about Ray Hardee.
Okay, so I'm a preacher's kid 3 times over.
Yep.
I was born in High Point, North Carolina. I've lived in New Orleans twice, Indianapolis, Daytona, Columbia, Conway, Myrtle Beach, and but spent most of my life in the west side of Charlotte.
Yeah. Gotcha.
West Mecklenburg, west
go
side.
to the west side. So, which he taught me earlier.
That's
I
right,
didn't know
west
how to
side.
do
Just
that.
three, there we
I was
go.
trying to do something that
Grew up in
didn't work.
Coolwood, so if you know Coolwood and the west side of Charlotte, that's where I'm from.
Ah, gotcha.
And then I went to UNC Charlotte for a while, and then I graduated from Gardner Webb, and I went back to UNCC, got a master's, and then I went back to Gardner Webb and worked on divinity studies, and I've done some other postgraduate work in various places and stuff like that. But moved 9 times when I was 11 years old because my father, who was in ministry, just ambitious minister, died tragically in a plane crash with one of my brothers, Robbie, who's between me and my oldest brother, Roger. And went back to live with my grandparents. My mom met and married another minister 3 years later. He'd lost his wife to cancer, Thurman Stone, and we moved to Charlotte. And so most of the rest of my life was spent in Charlotte until my wife Andrea, after were married on June 23rd, 1984, which is 39 years ago.
Wow.
This June 23rd, at Rankin Lake Baptist Church in Dallas.
Yeah.
She imported me into the county, and I've been here ever since living. Although I worked a lot in Charlotte and at Gardner Webb and various things like that too before we started a church.
Gotcha. Cool deal. Well, we're glad you're in Gaston County. For
I
sure.
do. I also have 3 children, Anna, Alex, and Abigail.
Yep.
They're all adults now, paying their own bill.
There you go.
4 grandchildren.
Yeah.
Easton, Ella, Blake, and Emma. And so they are all right here in the county too as well.
Yep.
And my youngest daughter lives in
What do
Charlotte.
they call you? They call you Pop?
They call me Gray.
Gray. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
Ray's my name, so they put a G in front of Ray,
okay.
they just call me Gray.
Okay, cool.
And I kind of fit that.
Well, I wasn't, I'm going to say anything.
Yeah.
I got the Gray going on there too. So
All right, this
good.
is kind of what happens.
Good stuff. That's awesome.
I've earned every one of them.
That's great. Good deal. So I do, like I have said before on the podcast, I do kind of observe and notice different things, aspects about men and their lives and stuff like that. So what I've noticed, and there's nothing about false humility or anything like that. It's nothing about puffing people up. That's not what we're doing here. But I understand as a man of 60 years old now that there are men around us that are around me that are inspiring me. So some things that I've noticed about you over the last several years, I guess since prior to 2020, but in 2020 especially, when you showed up at our prayer at the clock.
Yeah.
And I was taking pictures and all that, and did not even realize, I knew who you were.
Yeah.
Didn't realize till we left that was you, because you just came to participate in a community prayer event as yourself. And that was
in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, and that was so cool to see someone come in, because I walk in the door and I want to shake hands and say hi to everybody, and that's just me. I just do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about that, and you didn't make it that. So, and then I see you at least in these Carolinas, and I see you back there, shoveling the potatoes and the meatloaf and everything like that, having a good time with everybody, and that's kind of cool too. From there to the stage at Salt and Light, where you're in front of a couple thousand people and you're interviewing somebody for that kind of stuff.
That was a real cool,
great event.
A great young lady that had a chance to interview.
Yes.
Leah, who was the basketball player for Carolina, and
Yep.
graduated early, and she didn't want to have to compromise her faith.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's just a
great
great
story,
lady.
an awesome
Really
story,
was.
and you did a really good job with the interviewing part. So
Thank you.
That's not an easy thing to do, especially in front of a huge crowd of people. Well, on a podcast, you can re-record if you have to.
Of course, if you're like me, you've moved 9 times for 11 years old, you kind of remember, hey, how are you doing, bye?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, even if I mess up, they might not remember me anyway,
right.
so
There you
I'll
go,
just do my best and then I'll leave, right?
So they're listening for the answer anyway, not the question. So
That's
I like
right.
that. That's a good tip for
They
me.
did not come to see me ask questions.
But I don't know. I disagree with that. I think
Okay.
you did I did notice that part of it too. I thought that
Thank
was
you.
pretty important, because not everybody can do that. It's not. I'm not even that great at it. I'm just here in front of this thing because some producer of mine who doesn't show up for the last 2 weeks, Stephen Wright, said I
Stephen.
should do this. Yeah.
How are you you doing out there? Looking forward to seeing you when you get back.
Ooh, you're in trouble now.
The world tour you're taking right now.
That's right. So the money mastery game, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Cool.
All right. So let's talk about a couple things about you, and when did you first recognize the importance of being a godly man or young man, or?
Well, it started with my dad, because my dad really taught me to listen to God when he moves you. And we kind of went where he said to go.
Yeah.
And God led him to do that. And we took us some great places before my dad died, tragically in a plane crash with my brother Robbie, who's between me and my oldest brother Roger, in 1969. Wow. I mean, 60s were crazy. You know,
Yeah.
You had free love, Vietnam War,
Everything.
you know, rock and roll, acid, drugs. They killed Bobby Kennedy and Jack Kennedy and Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And it was just a weird time
Scary
when I
times.
grew up in scary times. But my dad was a godly man, very outgoing, very enthusiastic, but also through my other fathers. So I've had 3 fathers.
Yeah.
A biological father, who's Stan. We're in Stanley, North Carolina, by the way. The clock thing he was talking about, we met at the clocks in the middle of COVID. We prayed for unity among our country at the time of disunity. And then 3 years after my father had died, my mom met the second love of her life, my stepfather, Thurman Stone. He was a pastor at Calvary Baptist Church in Charlotte, and then he finished his ministry at Calvary Church in Charlotte, and the big pink church on the Highway 51 side. And then he died tragically of Alzheimer's disease after they'd been married 30 plus years. And then Mom married Bill Hardee, and Bill's 94 now.
Yeah.
He'll be 95 in September. My mom just turned 91. They still live independently. They take care of one another, and so involved in the church. So really, God has shown me different elements of his character through my fathers.
Yep.
Stan, my dad, was enthusiastic and a go-getter. My Pop was my second dad. He taught steadiness, and he dealt with difficult trials in his life. His wife died of breast cancer, and she was in her 40s, and just really tragic kind of experience there. But also have a stepsister, who was his youngest daughter, who was born normally. She learned how to walk when she was 11 months old. She was walking and talking and saying mama and dada and all that kind of stuff. But she fell and hit her head at the corner of a table, had to have multiple brain surgeries, had cerebral palsy as a result. Doctors said she would never live past the single digits, and she's now 67 years old now. Right. So just the steadiness that my pop showed me as well was really, and then
the difficult times,
especially the difficult times.
Yeah.
And then D3, one other thing Pop used to say before I move on to Bill is that I cannot afford the luxury of discouragement.
Right.
You know, or you got to roll with the punches.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just go lay down in the corner. You got to keep moving because people need you, right? Yeah. God needs to use you. And Bill is just an effusive retired missionary from Ethiopia, or served in Ethiopia, but he's from Charlotte.
Yeah. Got a great name.
He does. Absolutely. I love the Bill name.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, that's cool. So you had some really good inspirations as far as men go. So how about, so those are your 3 male inspirations. Were there, and your mother was a female inspiration in your life?
Absolutely.
Anybody else you can think of specifically offhand that was inspired you to become a godly man?
Absolutely. So there are all kinds of people. I would say my mother is inspiring.
Sure. My
wife has inspired me. Yeah. She's been the woman that I've loved for over 40 years now.
Yep.
Been married to her just 39, but loved her for 41 or 42 years now. I would say that the other people that inspire me that are godly people are people that some people know about and some people don't. One of them is an obscure historical character by the name of Eric Liddell.
Okay.
Who was a runner back in the Olympic Games, I think near 1928, 1932. I think it's 32. Yeah. Anyway, and they made a movie about his life called Chariots of Fire.
Right.
He really inspired me at a pivotal time in my life where I needed some inspiration. Debbie inspires me because she took what little she has and is able to have done so much. She's done fun runs, even though she can't walk very well. She's lived independently, even though people said she'd never be able to live independently, and she's lived a long life. And being exposed to people that are that society tends to look at as lesser or seeks to put them away.
Yeah.
Ultimately, being around people like Debbie and like Stacy, my niece, who has Down syndrome, my brother Roger's daughter, just makes me weak in the knees because it slows me down because the simple things in life and the people that are maybe the least of these in society are the ones that have taught me the most.
Yeah. Well, and I've had been able to be around and had some relationships with some young people in youth choir and stuff like that. One of them that had Down syndrome, and like you said, it just makes you stop and appreciate everything that's going on, and then the joy that they show in their lives about the things they're doing are very inspiring.
So they say that they have an extra chromosome that we don't have, and I think that's the love gene. I think that you ever meet somebody with Down syndrome, it's kind of like, hey, I love you.
Yep.
What are we eating?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
That's right. Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So pretty cool. All right. So so how do you feel you've been most effective in taking all of these inspirations that you've had? How do you feel like you've been most effective in using that to build into other men's or young men's lives so that they in turn can walk the path of becoming a godly man as well?
So every man wants to hear you got what it takes. And especially we want to hear that from our fathers. So I got that blessing from my father, fathers in different kinds of places, in different ways in my life. But also just the whole process of knowing that men tend to be posers. We tend to want to make people think we're bigger, stronger, faster, tougher than everybody else. And so being around people and just trying to be authentic and making sure that, you let people know that, when I fall down, I bleed and,
Which like I said before earlier, I said I noticed that about you, and it's not something you can pretend to be. Either you are or you aren't. Either you're genuine or you're not. And you were at some events that I was at, and I'm not going to get political or anything like that, although I think we need to be involved in politics 100% as Christians. But there were some of those people are genuine as well, and you were around them as well. And since you were there, I know that you know that. So that's important, and I think it was important for them to be genuine, like they are. So,
and I think too the example of Jesus and the humility of God in the flesh on the night before he's betrayed, that one of them is going to betray him, the other 11 are going to abandon him, at least for a period of time.
Right.
And he gets down on his knees and washes their feet and does the most humble possible thing the night before. He needs them, and they leave him. And so I've learned in my life that sometimes you wash the feet of people that will leave sometimes, and it's hard. Yeah. But wash the feet, so to speak.
Because he knew, So,
absolutely. Yeah. You love them, and then they reconcile. They came back together again, except with the exception of Judas, obviously, and the tragic end that came to his life because he betrayed Jesus. Yeah.
But the foot washing service, or feet washing, however it's supposed to be properly grammatically said, is just amazing, very emotional to me.
Some churches do that regularly.
So and we should be doing that. But cool. Now let's do the five. Let's do the 5 topics. Fast 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fast 5.
Let's go through the 5.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so we talked about this earlier. You guys don't know this, but you're going to know it now. Dr. Paul Brentley set the bar really high.
Yes, he did. He sets the bar really high all the time.
That's right. So
smarter than me, better looking than me, more influential than me, just everything.
Yeah. Well, we won't say anything on the podcast, but he's a great guy. He's an awesome guy. So he said he wanted to do all of the Fast 5.
Okay, so we're going to try it.
See if you can pull this off.
Try to catch up with him.
So here we go. You've already given us 3 of the men, so 5 men who have inspired you. 2 more. You've got your 3 dads.
I say, because certainly my dads, but also that's Eric Little's another. Eric Little, right? But I would also say my brothers Roger and Richard have inspired me as well too.
So 6.
That's right.
See,
I gave 6
you on that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, so you're already.
It kind of came out that way.
That's good. That's perfect. That's great. Then let's how about your 5 heroes of the faith, whether they're biblical or not? 1800s or 1700s or just anyway.
I mean, there are a lot of people that are in actual and unbiblical history that really I look up to. Eric Liddell is one of those, but in the Bible, David, Joseph in the Old Testament, Joseph in the New Testament. I really want to talk to the father of Jesus when I get to heaven. What's it like to be the earthly father of Jesus on earth? Paul the Apostle and Moses.
Okay, got it.
They all did hard things.
Right.
and still did it in incredible ways.
Yeah, very hard things. That's what I like about some of the movies that are coming out now, and the Chosen and stuff.
Oh,
like
the
that.
Chosen series really
Yeah.
captures Jesus.
Oh yeah.
The way that I read the Bible is that gentleman is really inspired in the way he's playing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The person of Jesus.
But they're bringing out some of the other characters. And the movie about Abraham, his only son.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I haven't seen that one
Awesome.
yet.
You need to see that.
Okay,
And
I
same
will.
thing. Just not to be a spoiler, but to look at what's because you talk about Joseph wanting to talk to him and what was that like, and then he's not in the picture anymore and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For Sarah to go with Abraham through everything that he did.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yep.
That movie does that, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing to me. So that's cool. Good.
Awesome.
All right. So those are your 5 heroes of the faith. So now you're going to give us 5, one of each. Give us one favorite book of the Bible.
Really love Philippians
Mm-hmm.
because it's a book written from a prison cell.
Yeah.
And it's a book written about purpose and joy and our place in Christ and our place in God's family and His kingdom, and being resilient, which according to positive psychologists, which is a new theory that's taking in the principles that Philippians talks about. A lot of stuff we used to call positive pop psychology has been verified through academic study in the last 25 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And Philippians is a handbook
Mm-hmm.
of how to stay positive even in the hardest of times.
Yeah. Amazing how historically and scientifically everything's coming back to the
Absolutely.
Bible. That's pretty cool.
It does.
So, all right. So that's your favorite book. Favorite psalm. How about your favorite psalm?
I love Psalm number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it talks about blessed are those who do not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, or stand in the path of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers or the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law he meditates day and night. He'll be like a tree planted by streams of living water, which brings forth fruit in its season. Whatsoever he does does not wither, and everything he does prospers. Not so the wicked; they'll be like chaff in the wind. And so, just planting yourself in the right places is really important.
Yeah. Cool deal.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And then your favorite proverb.
Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. He'll direct your paths. But as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, or so one person, depending on your translation, sharpens another. Proverbs 17:17. Just lots of good stuff. But also, the first two chapters of the book of Proverbs are about a father who's talking to his son about, above all else, get wisdom and gain understanding.
Right.
Because it's like, this was actually written from a father to a son to say, here's how you got to live.
Yeah. So the world teaches us to go out and get money and get famous and get all this other stuff,
Right.
which some of us have tried to do and failed. But
Or even
but
if you
through those
succeed, you
failures-
might fail.
Exactly. Well,
Because
and-
it doesn't add up to everything you thought it would be.
Right, exactly. So, and not going into different stories and stuff, but from my perspective, there were certain things that I should have achieved and did not know why I didn't until now. And now I look back and I realize, because that, number one, that's not where he wanted me, and number two, I would not have known how to do what he wanted me to do with it. So he just said, forget it. It's not going to work that way. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
But the
So I love it. I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Is that God gives us 3 answers to a prayer:
Right.
yes, no, or wait.
Yep.
And I loved Anne Lamott's book. She wrote about prayer, that every prayer can be distilled down to 3 different words: help, thanks, or wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So there's just that kind of stuff that comes up that just really hits and impacts my life.
Yeah.
The simpler, the better for me.
I tried to post something the other day, and I think it was misunderstood by some people. Now, a bunch of people jumped in and said, "Hey, I get exactly what you're saying." That it alluded to the fact that sometimes God doesn't answer your prayer. He always answers your prayers. I get that, but sometimes it's the wait, or sometimes it's no.
Yeah.
And we think He didn't answer our prayer when that's exactly what He did by telling us, "No, this is not where we need to be right now."
right.
So, but anyway, that's what I meant. But
So when my father and my brother perished in a plane crash, it
Oh.
actually took 3 weeks for them to find them. They crashed in the swamp right near the airport, and the trees folded over. So, for weeks on end, we're going, please God help them be found. But in all that time, they had already perished. And so I learned young, when I was a young child, at 8.5 years old, and growing older, that sometimes you don't understand God's plan, but God still does love us, and God cares for us, and He's going to meet our needs,
right.
even in the midst of pain.
And He strengthened you through that. So, Your favorite Old Testament verse?
Oh, Isaiah 40:31. Those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They'll mount up on wings as eagles. They'll run and not grow weary. They'll walk and not grow
The
faint.
visual on that is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And that was used in Chariots of Fire, one of my favorite movies,
right.
to talk about Eric Liddle,
Yeah.
the running champion from the 30s.
I think I've never watched the entire movie. I don't think so.
So when you go to watch it, if you're going to watch it out there, I encourage every Christian to watch it. Make sure to put on the closed captions because they have heavy British accents.
Yeah, right. There you go.
You need somebody to help you understand.
Otherwise, you can't. Or an interpreter, one of the two.
Our interpreter, that's right.
Yeah. So, and then your favorite New Testament verse.
Oh, Philippians 4:8. Whatever's true, whatever's noble. He says, finally, my brothers and sisters, whatever's true and noble, if anything is excellent and worthy of praise, then think on these things.
Yeah. We need to do that. Right?
So focus on that which is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Related to that is in first, I think it's 1 Corinthians 13. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth.
Yeah.
So there should be nobody that rejoices in evil.
Yeah. Oh, right.
We don't delight in it.
Yeah.
Instead, we rejoice in the truth.
Yeah.
Even sometimes when those that are evil are found out in the truth, I think you know your heart is right when you're going like, man, I could have gone there too, and actually feel sorry because you just learned that lesson.
Yeah. Well, and we can be disappointed, but that doesn't mean we pile on.
Right.
And stuff like that. So cool. All right. Good. That's great. So we did all the serious stuff. Now some of the fun stuff.
All right.
We need you to tell us your favorite. Now you don't have to you don't have to change your story just because you're in this Cubs room.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite? Or what? Give us a sports story, a sports related story.
Wow. I think for me, the thing that really inspires me was the movie Field of Dreams, where it's kind of like you're crossing different worlds in time. And ultimately, I cried at the very end of that movie.
Oh, you did cry. Good.
Yeah, I did. I cried at the very end. Absolutely, I did cry because it's kind of like every guy wants to hear some kind of blessing from their father. Right. The way that ends very much is kind of a blessing with him and his father play catch, and they're playing on this field, and it's just a really cool story for me.
That's good.
I mean, I'm impressed by all people that are really good at what they do. Even if I don't like every person that has achieved great things, I really admire excellence in athletics.
Yeah, well, and even in preaching and teaching. I mean, that's what I tell some people. There are people that we can still glean great things from.
Absolutely.
Whether we necessarily don't agree with, some
all the nuances of their theology.
Yeah, exactly. So we can still glean.
Another thing was we all have to be humble enough to know that we all are wrong in our theology to some degree.
Right.
We don't know all the answers.
Don't admit that, but that's true. Yeah,
we don't have all the answers,
right.
And so whether it's Calvinism versus Arminianism, or eternal security versus you can lose your salvation, or those kinds of things, we need to focus on what the Bible is very clear about.
The essentials.
The essentials. In essentials, unity, and non-essentials, liberty, but in all things, love.
Yep.
Was Melanchthon.
Yep.
Cry for the Reformation.
I was trying to remember that one the other day, and I couldn't. So it's like I'm not a memorization.
Essentials,
but I knew what he
meant. Non-essentials, liberty, and all things, love.
Yep, exactly. That's where we need to be, and we're not always there. So, but anyway, cool. But that's okay. That we went from sports back then. That's okay. But anyway,
absolutely.
Cool. So that's your favorite sports thing. Okay, good.
Because I love Donald Gray Barnhouse. He said all of life illustrates Bible doctrine. So even when I'm picking fantasy football teams or something like that in the fall and play fantasy football, I was part of fantasy football fellowship at our church.
Mm-hmm.
I try to pick the good guys.
Yeah.
I pick the good guys with character.
Right.
Because I like to watch the morality plays in the fall.
Yeah. I like that.
Why did Aaron Rodgers get hurt that year? He decided that maybe he didn't believe in God anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the reason why. But by the same token, he wasn't my guy there. Right.
Well, and I think you do. I think you do analyze circumstances and things that are going on from that perspective. I think you should, because it can help you in your walk. I think so that you make that decision, the right decision, versus the decision that knocks you out of the season.
And do you really want to? And I love Aaron. I hope Aaron you come back to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But do you really want to pull for the guys that hit their girlfriends, or do you want to pull for the guys that honor their wives, like Drew Brees and people like that?
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. All right, so that's the sports related stuff. Yeah. So now we will do the wrap up. First of all, the Willie Ace bobblehead, who looks sort of like
you. I think it's you, man.
It is me. It's
Right
Willie
there.
Ace. So, and I promised our viewers that at some point I will explain the Willie Ace nickname,
You
but
gotta
not
stay-
today.
You got to stay tuned to the Greater Purpose
That's
podcast right
Yep,
here.
That's right. And see, Cubs fan since 1962. I told you, I was born a Cubs fan.
Love it.
Now, we did some preliminary stuff. So he already chose and constructed, and we have this on film.
Absolutely.
It's a very long film, but we have this on film. There were some struggles, but he has constructed.
Iron Man.
He
Not
chose.
Iron Man. Iron Man's your guy. This is the Hulk.
He chose and built engineering. He built his Lego superhero. So that was his. That was great.
Right.
But he will also receive this wonderful, valuable, fantastic, very valuable, needed bottle of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Mr. Bill STEM
Gotta keep it
Education.
clean. I think COVID changed us forever. We're going to keep our hands clean.
My
right?
shameless plug for my businesses right there, right?
I like that.
And, of course, the all-valuable, not signed yet, but it will be signed before we leave here, just to prove it hasn't been pre-signed, is the Willie Ace baseball card. So, all right.
Fantastic.
Yep. And I have to number that. My producer, who is not here again, giving me all kinds of
Left it.
trouble. He's gone. So, anyway. But, so, thank you so much,
It's
Pastor
my
Ray
pleasure.
Hardee.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
too.
being here.
Keep
Been
doing
a
the great
blessing.
work, and everybody in Gaston County needs to come see this club studio. Everybody in the world. There's 15,000 cards in here, all kinds of baseball memorabilia. It's just
Come see. You're welcome to come see. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribe to the